Welcome to the Skip and Shannon Undisputed podcast. I'm Joy Taylor. You can catch us Monday through Friday at 9:30 a.m. Eastern, 6:30 Pacific on FS1. Here's what this podcast is all about. It's an unscripted, unfiltered, undisputed version of the day's show, and there is a lot to get into in today's podcast. Skip believes Aaron Rodgers made this year's Pro Bowl solely on reputation. Shannon tells you last night the King made another statement to the NBA world. The guys have a great debate over the latest round of Jerry Jones' comments about Tony Romo. Cedric the Entertainer drops by the debate desk to reveal his take on the Steelers and his Mount Rushmore of comedians. Plus, our man Chris Carter is here to give his interesting take on Demarcus Cousins and makes an analogy you have to hear. Skip, do you want to start today?
I've got to congratulate you. You won. My Cowboy season is about to come crumbling down around me, thanks to my owner and coach, Jerry Jones.
He's got you that worried?
Yep.
You in trouble, Skip.
All right. Well, let's do it. Let's get started in Dallas. Yesterday, Jerry Jones said he talked about his team's quarterback situation, quote, to create debate. Later yesterday, Jerry spoke about Tony Romo's press conference last month when he said the Cowboys were Dak Prescott's team. Let's take a listen.
Well, that wasn't done for the cameras. That's the way he feels. The competitor in Tony he'll shoot nickels with you for a line anytime you're ready. He'll do anything to compete. He loves to compete, and that's what made it so special for him to step up and really for the team. But for everybody involved, he took the coaches off the hook. For whatever hook I'm on, he took me off. He took everybody off the hook when he said, "This is Dak's job. He's earned it. I'm going to back him up. I'm going to give him tips every chance I get. I'm going to make that scout team look as close to the way that any of these opposing quarterbacks would look. I'm going to do everything I can to help us win football games, and I'm certainly supportive of him." Now, that wasn't for the show. That was for his teammates and the fans to understand where he is, and that was real, and that's the way he feels. By the way, if given a chance, and I know this will shake some heads, but I'm going to tell you something. He's ready.
He's ready, and I'm ready.
Skip, what?
You know what I'm ready to do? I'm ready to throw up. That's what I'm ready to do.
Oh, no.
Not right
I'm going to give you some nausea medicine. You got to hold this down here. Hold it down.
Skip, what is Jerry trying to accomplish here?
I know Jerry Jones because I spent hundreds of hours with and around Jerry Jones as I wrote 3 books on the Dallas Cowboys. And this is what I now believe Jerry is trying to accomplish. He is trying to prepare the NFL world for what he is about to do. He is about to replace Dak Prescott with Tony Romo for the playoff run. And look, it's been clear to me all along, I keep telling you, he thinks Dak has been a nice, cute little story. But he thinks that Tony Romo could become the greatest story ever told in NFL annals. And I remind you, Jerry is now 74. He does have 3 Super Bowl rings from the distant past. But he knows now, if he could make the decision to replace Dak with Romo that led to another Super Bowl, his 4th ring, that would add the exclamation point to Jerry's legacy, the monument he's building to himself in Dallas-Fort Worth, Texas. And again, the greatest story in the world is, to me, becoming the damnedest story in the history, not just of the National Football League, but of sports, because clearly we have a rookie quarterback who has now won 12 out of 14 games, losing only the opener by 1 point and the 13th game by 3 points on the road against the same team that beat him in the opener. That's all Dak has accomplished. And Jerry's saying, no, it's time for me to step in and take this over, because Tony stepped in back on November 15th. Jerry's saying he swallowed that competitive pride of his. He'd shoot nickels with you right now and beat your behind. He swallowed his pride, and that was against Jerry's better judgment. Because remember, Jerry did not bless that little press conference that Tony held by himself on that Tuesday, off day,
Correct.
November 15th. He didn't back it. He didn't bless it. He had no knowledge of it. But he's saying that gave Dak a couple of more starts because it took Jerry off the hook, took the coaching staff off the hook. He's trying to tell you they were ready to do it then. But no, they gave the kid a couple of more. But without that press conference, if obviously if Dak had struggled the way he did at New York and lost that game, Jerry would have done it then. But now comes the dream scenario for Jerry Jones. What's about to happen tomorrow night at Philadelphia? The Giants are playing at Philly. What if the Eagles rise up and upset the Giants, which is highly possible, right?
Very
they've
possible.
been really good at home, right? What would then happen? My Dallas Cowboys would clinch home field advantage throughout the playoffs with 2 games to go. So, I'm a little nervous about that because the rust could kick in. That would mean 3 whole weeks before you played another game that mattered. Dream scenario for Jerry Jones, you would have 2 basically exhibition games, the equivalent of preseason games against Detroit and then at Philly, to get Tony Romo ready for the first playoff game. And you'd potentially have 2 home playoff games to get to the Super Bowl. I'm now convinced that he will pat Dak Prescott on the head and say, young man, way to go. You got yourself a Pro Bowl, because Dak just made the Pro Bowl. But young man, it's now time for Tony Romo to take us to that Super Bowl. So you just bide your time. We'll get to you in a couple of years here. But it's time for Tony, because he can shoot nickels with any. He'll beat you. He'll beat you at Super Bowl or nickels, whatever you want to play. And it is now time to get back on track with the Pro Bowl quarterback of years past, the superstar quarterback, my son, as you call him, Tony Romo Jones. That's what's about to happen, and I'm convinced more than ever off these comments yesterday, he's getting us all ready for the inevitable. Romo returns.
So in other words, you're saying if this was a movie, Dak was the stand-in double.
He was.
Now, here comes the money scene. We got to get Tony Romo, the lead actor.
Yeah.
We got to get him in the shot.
Yeah, and obviously, if that movie ends with the lead actor winning the Super Bowl, you're good.
Yes.
You know, that would be the audience would leave very happy, and the Cowboy Nation would leave very happy from that Super Bowl. You know what I think is about to happen? Tony Romo's about to lose the first playoff game at home. That's what this shapes up to be.
What Jerry is trying to accomplish is what he's been doing all along. He's trying to validate his faith in the contract that he's given Tony Romo to say, see, I told you he could do it. This is so embarrassing on so many levels that Jerry keeps undermining his own team. Skip, if you remember the first Super Bowl that the Broncos won, we beat the Packers. Mr. Bolin, the owner of the team, and John this was their 4th Super Bowl together. Mr. Bolin was so excited that John, because he had gotten blown out in the 3 previous Super Bowls, that when Commissioner Tagliabue handed him the trophy, he said 3 words, "This one's for John." I guarantee you, Jerry Jones would say, this one's for Tony.
Oh, sure.
He would say, this one's for Tony. Because here's the thing I can't understand. He keeps saying, when Tony did the press conference, it took everybody off the hook. No, it didn't. That play took everybody off the hook. Because if you make that move, I don't care if you're Jerry Jones, everybody's going to say you're a fool for doing this. Because the kid had played, up until that point, he had played flawlessly. We didn't see any bumps in the road. He had 2 bad games. He won 1, he lost 1. He could have easily won the game at the Giants, had Dad's head onto the ball. We'll never know. But he didn't play. He wasn't the reason why, the only reason you lost. But for Jerry to keep saying these things, no, Dak is on the hot seat because you placed him there. All you ask him to do is come in and hold it fort down until Tony can get back. Well, not only did he hold it down, he fortified it. He built it. He made it stronger than you actually thought it could be. Because, see, every time Tony Romo has left the lineup, he had a Kellen Moore, he had a Brandon Weeden, he had guys that weren't capable.
Don't forget Matt Castle, who beat Kirk Cousins last year in Washington. You got to.
He had those guys that weren't a Dak Prescott, so he didn't envision. That's why he kept saying, when Tony Romo's healthy, he's getting this job back. He had no idea what he had. It almost like he found a diamond. And granted, if you polish it up, it's a diamond, but it was a rock. And so every game, a little more, they polished it a little more, polished it a little more. And here we are 10, 12 weeks into the season. You're like, you know what? We don't know, but we got the Hope Diamond right here. But I really want Tony. But because Tony is box office. But let me ask you a question, Skip. 14 games into the season, they've won 12. How much depreciation has the Cowboys suffered because Dak Prescott's the quarterback and Tony Romo's the backup? Zero.
Oh, I didn't know if I was supposed to answer
No.
this one.
Okay,
I never know.
That was
rhetorical. That's
yeah.
a Shannon to Shannon.
Yes.
Okay.
Zero.
Yeah.
How many eyes have turned the TV off because Tony Romo is not the starter and Dak is? None. They're still the number one draw. They're still America's team. Although Tony Romo isn't the quarterback, somehow the stadium still gets sold out. Somehow eyes still go to the television. All without Tony Romo as the starting quarterback. Who would have thought it? And he has this kind of belief. I could see if that was Joe Montana. Joe Montana had a legitimate gripe. He's like, I'm a 4-time Super Bowl champ, 3-time Super Bowl MVP, 2-time league MVP. Even though Steve Young would win the MVP that season, you could see with Joe, like, hold on now. What is he comparing it to? Tony Romo has 2 playoff wins. I know a guy that hadn't played in 4 years to have one. The guy you love, Tim Tebow. So Tony Romo in 13, 14 years has 1 more playoff win than Tim Tebow.
Romo actually has 3 because he won 1 at Green Bay, but that's a whole nother issue. Got robbed, but it's
Stop it, Skip!
He did. He got robbed
Stop it!
because it was a catch. We know it was a catch.
Skip,
Everybody knows it was a catch. You got to give him that.
No, I ain't giving you jack.
He threw the pass
Let me ask you
that
a
should have
question.
won the game.
Let me ask you a question. In the annals of history, how is it recorded?
As a win in my head. in my annals.
Yeah,
right?
That thick, stubborn bull head of yours, that's a
correct.
win.
That was
he
correct.
has 2 wins.
Yeah.
So for Jerry to have this kind of belief that if I make this switch, there's no question in my mind. Even if I do this, we're still going to go to and win the Super Bowl. See, he thinks he's going to have a storybook ending like Peyton Manning. Because remember, Peyton Manning missed like 7-8 weeks, and then all of a sudden the last regular season game against San Diego, Brock was not all by Brock because guys fumbling the ball, guys getting the ball taken out of their hands. Gary Kubiak, the head coach, went back to Peyton Manning.
It did. It was the move of the year. It won the Super Bowl.
And we all know how it turned out.
Yep.
And Jerry saw that. Jerry said,
He
know
saw
what?
it. He did.
And this might be even more improbable if we bring Tony Romo back, the gunslinger from Dallas, Texas. Everything is big in Texas. Woo, Skip, all I'm saying is this. If he makes this change and this thing blows up, I'm driving over to your house that night,
I know
and
you
you
are.
better let me in.
But it won't be my fault. It'll be Jerry's fault. Because I'm riding with Dak, and you knew I rode with Dak all the way.
Yep.
Okay, so here's to your Hope Diamond analysis
Yes.
you just did, or analogy that you just made. When your team is worth $1 billion, you don't care if you have the Hope Diamond.
Right.
Then it's all about you.
Right.
So he's rich enough and powerful enough within the NFL and old enough
Yes.
that he doesn't care about anything you say or I say. All he wants to do is show you he can win a Super Bowl with Tony Romo. And I can't condemn him for that because he owns the team.
Correct.
Again, we don't vote owners into office and vote them out of office.
Right.
I wish we could. I would have voted Jerry out a number of years ago, maybe 8 years ago.
One more thing, Skip. Isn't he on the Hall of Fame ballot this year?
Jerry, I don't know.
I think he's on the Hall of Fame ballot. So just think now, in August, if he's selected in February, when all the other guys are going to get selected, and they introduce him as a 4-time Super Bowl winning owner that has a different cachet, has a different kind of ring to it than
I would
3.
agree. Okay, so it's time for me to hold your feet to the fire. Is it not right that all along you have actually sided with Jerry Jones that you wanted Tony Romo back at quarterback? Because you've picked against Dak Prescott, 10 times this year?
Yeah, 10, 11.
Okay, so isn't that your way of saying they're better with Romo?
No, they're not. But I just, knowing Jerry and hearing him talk, because we've never heard an owner talk about a backup, especially when the guy, the starter, the guy that replaced the starter is playing equal to, if not better than that guy has ever played. So he keeps bringing his name up. Even when Dak did something good, somehow he finds a way to switch the conversation to Tony Romo and how well he's looking in practice. Because again, in that interview, he says he's doing the best scout team job of any offense that we're going to face. He's making sure that our defense get that kind of a look. So look, I don't know if he's trying to increase Tony's trade value or whatever it is, but you and I both know this, Skip. Jerry Jones can't add any more. People have an idea of what and who Tony Romo is. So him praising him is not going to add any more value. But if Dak goes, everybody knows if they leave this thing alone and Dak goes to and win the Super Bowl, Tony Romo isn't coming back. I know.
Well, I mean, Jerry could bring him back because he's Jerry.
But that's not happening.
I mean, he already said, I'm going to keep him next year because we can fit both of them under the cap because Dak makes like nothing. What does he make, 500 grand?
So, but how is that going to, because the thing is that I'm sure the Patriots could have kept Drew Bledsoe. But you didn't want the guy constantly looking over his shoulder that he was possibly going to be replaced.
Belichick was done with Bledsoe. Jerry clearly not done with Romo.
But still, he knew even if he weren't done, because you want competent backups, because you never know, because Drew Bledsoe filled in the championship game when Tom got hurt and did a great job. So you always want a guy, but you don't want that guy. And Coach Belichick knew. This young man can't constantly be looking over his shoulder at Drew Bledsoe that if I mess up, he's going to get in. You want that distraction in there? Do you really want that distraction? And I don't care what Jerry says. I played this game for 14 years. I know and I hear, and I know what causes distractions, and I know what are distractions. And I don't care what he says. This is a distraction to Dak Prescott.
Okay, so just for the record, you have expressed along the trail little to no faith in Dak Prescott. Are you telling me that you still think Dak gives his team a better chance to win the Super Bowl than Tony Romo?
Yeah, no, it's not I don't have confidence in Dak. I don't have confidence in Jerry not to stay out of the way. I believe Jerry will get in the way. He's going to take over. Look, Troy Aikman said that he believed if it was left up to Jerry and only Jerry, Tony would have been back in there. He believes that Stephen Jones and some of the other that sit at the table with Jerry and help make decisions, that they've talked Jerry out of making this decision earlier. At some point in time, Jerry's going to put his foot down and says, I understand that we all sit at this table, but I got the biggest chair at this table.
And by the way, I applauded Troy for standing up and speaking out against Jerry Jones last week.
Yeah.
I think it backfired. I think it just goaded Jerry.
He doubled down. He doubled down.
He said, okay, Troy, watch this. I'll show you who's king in Dallas, Texas.
Because up until that point, he never said he unequivocally supports Dak Prescott. He never said that until Troy said what he said. So now, Skip, it's not that I don't have, because you see the young man and his confidence is growing. It shows what the rest of the coaches and the NFL thinks about him as a player because they voted him to the Pro Bowl. And we know there are a lot of guys in the NFC that have better stats than Dak Prescott. But
they don't have that one better stat.
No, but
I'm 12-2, right?
But I'm telling you how coaches and players think. When they look at the tape, they don't necessarily go. See, fans just look at, oh, he had 32 touchdowns, he got this. Okay, he got into the Pro Bowl. But that's not how players do it, because most of those coaches spend 100 hours a week coming up with game plans, watching tape. The players, they're over there 8 to 9 hours a day, and the really, really good ones, the ones that are good, that want to be great, and the great that want to be legendary, they spend another 3 to 4 hours at home watching tape. So they know the players in this league, especially the players that can accumulate stats. Offensive linemen is a little bit different. But Skip, I don't have confidence in Jerry that he will stay out of the way. That's my reservation, because I believe that, because if they got three Pro Bowl starting offensive linemen. They're going to have 3 first-team All-Pro starting linemen. Zeke is healthy.
So far.
All he has to do is keep doing what they're doing. Run the ball to Zeke. He's getting 5 yards of carry on first down. So now you get 2 downs to pick up basically 4 yards. Skip, Jerry can't help himself. And I know it's bothering you. It's
tearing me apart, because I want to be very clear about this. This team has a far better chance of winning this year's Super Bowl with Dak Prescott remaining at quarterback. Because if you reinstall Tony Romo next week or the next week, because the owner decrees it, it will turn that locker room and that team upside down. There might be a mutiny in the locker room, because I think the locker room has become sold on the kid quarterback. Not that they don't like Tony or love Tony, but the unity, the chemistry, the flow is Dak attack all the way to the Super Bowl.
Skip, you know what I value more than friendship in the NFL? Winning. I place that above friendship. I place that above respect and trust. Win. If you win, I'm going to respect you. I'm going to trust you. And when I'll put my friendship, because look, at the end of the day, we can hang out in the offseason. We can go to Vegas. We can do whatever we want to do. But at the end of the day, I come to this building every single day
Yep.
to get better and to win on Sunday or Monday. And if this guy is doing that, look, I love Tony Romo. Tony's a great guy. Been over to his house, swam in the pool, shot hoops at the court.
And they all have.
Hey,
Well,
but
No.
don't you bother that.
winning
okay,
is more
I'm going to
important.
say this last time. If, in fact, the Giants do win tomorrow night in Philadelphia and put the pressure back on Dallas to have to win on Monday night against Matt Stafford and company at Jerry World, I say Dak is again playing for his job. One more time, we get to game 15. The kid quarterback, the Pro Bowl quarterback, is playing to keep his job one more time.
Wow.
No mercy. Last night, the Cavs beat the Bucks by 6 in overtime. LeBron had 34 points and also hit the go-ahead three-pointer with 24 seconds left to seal the win. Shannon, how impressed were you with LeBron's big shot?
Let's see. How impressed were you by LeBron's big shot? Let's see, I got it wrote down. Very, 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 very impressed, Skip Bayless.
Really? I'm shocked.
Played 47 minutes.
He
no
did?
Kevin Love.
Wow.
And we know what Kevin Love is this year, averaging 22 and 11. But
Wait, he did that without Kevin Love
hold on, Skip.
at Milwaukee?
I won't.
How did he do that?
You see what he tried to do? He tried to disrupt my train of thought. But I've been planning this all night long because I knew we was going to get this subject. I knew we was going to get this one here, Skip Bayless. Every time we talk about LeBron, one Skip Bayless talk about he ain't clutch. And last night, somebody forwarded me something that he said. Oh, the second worst three-point shooter in playoff history.
No, not the second worst. Get it right. He's the first worst. The worst. The worst.
Hold on.
Get it right.
Okay.
You don't misquote me on Twitter.
But you always talk about he's not clutch, he can't hit a big shot. Well, how about a shot that he shot from Ashwaubenon, Wisconsin? You know what that is?
I don't know that one.
Well, they played the game in Milwaukee.
Oh,
What
okay.
about Sheboygan, Wisconsin? You know what that is?
Sheboygan, I got that
What
one.
about
Yeah.
De Pere? You know what that is? But it was a long, long way.
You
So
know
no,
Wisconsin very well.
my brother was Wisconsinite for 7 years, so I kind of
That's
know,
true.
kind of know my way around there. But anyway, Skip, playing without Kevin Love, J.R. Smith injures his hand. He doesn't come. Only played 17 minutes in the ball game. Played none in the second half.
Yeah.
Now, mind you, Birdman Anderson tore his ACL.
He did.
So, and Tristan Thompson was in foul trouble last night. So with no Birdman, now you got to go to Channing Frye. Now, we know what he is on the offensive end. He's a three-point marksman, but he is a liability on the defensive end. So that required LeBron to say, you know what?
Yeah.
Now, I don't have Kevin Love to go get me his 11.
Yeah.
I know Double T is going to get his double-digit rebound.
Yeah.
Now, I got to man the boards, too. So this is what I'm going to do for Skip Bayless, because y'all know he's going to talk crazy tomorrow. But, Shannon, this is what I'm going to do for you. I'm going to give you some fuel that you can just dump on that fire. 34, 12, 7.
Only 7?
Only 7 assists.
Against the Bucks?
Hold on. You do remember.
What happened?
Hold
Did he
on.
have an off night?
Hold up. The Bucks just beat them by double digits 3 weeks ago.
Oh.
You do. Hold up. This is the same Bucks team that stopped the Warriors 23 game. It was going to be 24 win streak at the beginning of last year. You know, the Greek freak Giannis. They
I
got
know.
Parker.
I watched my Spurs go in there and just take them
Oh,
apart. At Milwaukee, it was easy.
Hold on.
It was
Skip.
a walk in the
Skip.
park.
Hold on. We'll get an opportunity to talk about the Spurs,
Oh,
but right now we're talking about
Oh.
the King.
No, the Kang.
The King. Hey, and you know what? Somebody sent me on my timeline. I'm like, who hit that shot? Because I couldn't see it because I was going back and forth.
okay.
And they say, LeBron James, LeBron James, LeBron James. Skip, you hate it. You hate it. You said the man wasn't clutch. All I hear you
not.
talk about. Skip.
He's just not.
A 38-foot three-pointer is not clutch?
Tell me when it's my turn.
No, it is not your turn.
Tell me
yet.
when
I
it's
don't
my
want
turn.
you to talk
Please.
yet. I'm a nod.
Yeah.
When I say it's your turn, I'm going to do this right here. That's your cue. But right now, it's my turn. The King, 34 points, 12 rebounds, 7 assists, played 47 minutes. And guess what? He got to turn around and do it again tonight. And he might play another 50 minutes and go get a triple-double tonight.
Poor man.
Book it. Go get a triple-double.
God.
Now, the new front runner for the MVP is King James.
You're kidding.
It's on you.
Is it over? Is it my
You
turn?
didn't do your nod thing.
It's on you.
That's my nod?
That's your nod.
I get to go now?
You get to go.
You know-
Hey, don't mention the Spurs.
We'll see about that. So, obviously you have absolutely no objectivity when it comes to LeBron James because you sleep in LeBron jammies every night. You've admitted it on the air. So what? How can we?
Okay,
there's no credibility there.
I got a LeBron T-shirt.
Yeah.
I got some Cavs shirts, and I got a Cavs hoodie. But what did I got to do with the man with 34, 12, and 7?
Well, obviously, you lose perspective, and then you lose sight of the facts here, which are, number one, as you pointed out, worst three-point shooter in NBA playoff history. And if we take just this year's Cavs team of the players who have taken 55 or more threes, that's 7 of them. Guess who's 7th on that list in three-point shooting? LeBron James. LeBron James is 7th. He's the 7th worst three-point shooter on his own team. He was 35% going into last night.
What was he last night?
He made, what, 3? He made 3?
5 of 9, Skip.
Oh, 5 of 9. Okay. So every once in a while, if you follow LeBron the way I follow LeBron very closely, I watch every second of every game. The Spurs were on opposite, so I had both of them on at once. So I got a little distracted by the Spurs. What a win last night. Coming back.
The Spurs.
Hey, that was a statement. That was a win.
The Spurs are asparagus.
Yeah.
It's good for you, but it's blah.
So every once in a while, if you know LeBron's history, he will catch a rare hot streak from 3. And obviously, he's got the greenest light. His light's greener than Russell Westbrook's. He's the coach of the team. He can shoot it whenever he wants to. So he was feeling it. He was feeling it. And he finally made a rare, relatively clutch late. Relative, because there were 24 seconds left. That's an eternity in an NBA game. It's not a walk-off shot. It's 24 seconds
So unless
left.
it's walk-off, it's not clutch.
Heck no. No, I'm talking about when he knows I got to make this shot.
He knew he had to make it.
Or more important, I got to make this free throw. You better hide your eyes because bad things are going to happen to the Kang at that point. And by the way, speaking of free throws, so LeBron did make the shot because Jason Kidd defends LeBron just the way Coach Popovich defended LeBron in the finals, all those 3 finals. Pop just says he can't shoot it. Just dare him to shoot it. And every once in a while, he's going to make one. And if he does, you tip your cap to him. But mostly, he's going to miss. Cap. He's a 35% three-point shooter.
Well, when are you going to tip your cap?
Okay, well, I'm getting there because what happened after that was Jabari Parker, who was guarding LeBron most of the night, went under the screen on that play. Then down the other end, other trip, he gets 2 free throws that could have made it a game again, and he missed both of them. So now it goes the other way, and it's time for the Cavs to get fouled and go make the 2 icing free throws that puts it out of reach. Did LeBron say, give me the ball and get out of the way? No, LeBron opted to throw the ball in because LeBron knows he doesn't want to be that guy trying to make those icing free throws, those clinching free throws. So he let somebody, I think it was JR did it at that point, because LeBron inbounded the ball to JR. So it's okay. He had one of those moments at Milwaukee, but if you want to see a clutch 3, you want to see a big-time 3, I got one for you because it was last night at Houston. My Spurs against a team that had won 10 straight games, and in their place they were 10-2. Did you see this? No, obviously you didn't watch, but did you see what Patty Mills did? Watch this. Ginobili to Patty. Now this is big-time clutch. Game over 3.
Hold on. Hold on.
Woo!
Where's the Rockets?
Patty Mills.
There's nobody
now
in
that's clutch.
Hold on.
That's big time ice in the veins clutch. That's the guy you want shooting your late shot.
Where are the Rockets in that video?
The Rockets?
Yeah.
They got fooled by Manu's drive, obviously.
Skip.
But this is wide open. That's the one LeBron would gag. You know it and I know it.
LeBron went 5 of 8 after half.
By the way, did you see all these other threes that the Spurs hit in the fourth quarter? Do you realize they're down 14 with 4 minutes left at Houston?
Can you let me
Now, this is high degree of difficulty.
Okay.
It's not at Milwaukee. And all of a sudden, they're just bombing threes.
Okay. In overtime.
Ginobili's bombing threes. Danny Green's bombing threes. No, I still have the floor. Look at all these threes. Wait. Look, Ginobili's 39 years old. He's bombing clutch threes. Wait, there's another one by Patty. Wait a second. Who's next? It's another one. They shot Houston's lights out down the stretch in the last 4 minutes. Now that's clutch.
Skip.
That's big time.
Skip.
We got to put it in perspective. Skip. Who had the higher degree of difficulty last night, Spurs or Cavs? Well, obviously it was the Spurs at the Rockets against the MVP, James Harden, as everybody has
LeBron
proclaimed.
James was perfect from the floor. He hit the dagger 3. He had 5 rebounds and an assist.
Did he make any free throws?
James Harden.
Did he make any free throws?
If James Harden hits 2, he was 1 from 11 from three-point line. If he hits one more three-pointer, the game is over.
But he didn't.
But LeBron made that 38-footer.
Yeah, because nobody
From
guarded him.
Sheboygan,
Yeah,
Wisconsin.
nobody guarded him.
From
They said,
from
shoot at
Sheboygan.
LeBron, shoot at LeBron, because the odds are with the home team to let him shoot the shot.
You see how giddy you got with them shooting three-pointers?
It was a spectacle.
The Cavs averaged 14 a night. They averaged 14.
Yeah,
Three-pointers is nothing for us.
But these were when you're down
Nothing for us.
13 points.
I keep telling you,
you're
look
down
here.
13 with 4 minutes left at Houston, and you shoot them out of their gym, and they're the best three-point shooting team.
I look at the Spurs like this. If you're a little child and your mom, your parents trying to get you to eat broccoli, the Spurs are broccoli. Kid like, no, I don't want this, Mom. The Cavaliers are broccoli with cheese. Okay, Mom, let me have some.
You don't like cheese.
Can you let me tell my story, Joe?
I'm just saying, you don't eat cheese.
That is true. You
I
don't like
specifically
cheese.
asked you the other day if you ate cheese, and you said no.
Does your brother know that you're being openly defiant to grown people?
I'm grown.
You a little sister.
Yeah, but you know what? Her brother was a better football player than you were.
Whoa.
Yes. I think we just nailed it. I think
so?
that's the problem.
Do you
know, and I know he was better than you.
Do you want me to pull that tape out from '98?
Which tape?
38-3 demolition that we did.
So you watch your,
and that was all because of you?
glory days again?
Do you want me to pull the tape out, Skip?
Were you the reason?
Skip,
Were you the reason
Skip,
for 38-3?
Skip, I think you forget, Skip. Boy, I was nothing.
do. I get a little foggy.
I wasn't to be messed with.
Yeah.
Skip, don't do that. We'll have to start every segment with highlights.
Yeah, I got to get it. See, now I got to see what you made me do, Skip. See, now I got to come out tomorrow and
No,
break
absolutely not.
No mercy.
The AFC and NFC rosters for the Pro Bowl were announced yesterday. The Raiders lead all teams with 7 players. The Cowboys have 5 Pro Bowlers, including Dak and Zeke. And a lot of the conversation has been about the 3 NFC quarterbacks, Dak, Aaron Rodgers, and Matt Ryan. Skip, who was the biggest snub?
Joy, Shannon Sharpe, there were 2 sad jokes involving the NFC playoff roster, or Pro Bowl roster. 2 Pro Bowl crimes. Number 1, there is no way that Aaron Rodgers has had a better year than Matt Stafford. And number 2, and no less important, there is no way this year that you can even have a Pro Bowl roster without the Cowboy Sean Lee on it, because he has simply become the best all-around, every-down linebacker in all of football.
Man, you crazy.
I'm not crazy. I am not crazy. We'll get to that in just a moment. But he has become the driving force of the defense that has risen to 4th overall in points allowed. And you got to give somebody some credit on that defense, and he is everything to that defense.
Rod Marinelli.
Yeah, I'm going to give Sean Lee the credit. But let's get back to Matt Stafford.
Okay.
Lions have won. Let me ask you a question, Shannon. How many games have the Lions won this year? I'll answer that question. They've won 9 games. And guess what happened in 8 out of those 9 games? Matt Stafford brought them from behind in the 4th quarter.
Okay.
So let's get this straight. 8 out of 9 wins came when the quarterback rallied the team in the 4th quarter. I'd say that is pretty great. Wouldn't you, Shannon Sharpe? Yeah, thank you very much.
Am I supposed to answer?
Yes, you're supposed to say great. You're supposed to say that's great. So
no.
let me get this straight. Let me ask you a question. Who's leading the NFC North right now? Could it be the Detroit Lions leading a division? Thank you. That nobody thought they would be leading at this point. Did anybody in the world think that Detroit would be leading this division this late? Thank you very much. That's a big no. Are they leading the Green Bay Packers in this division? That would be a big yes, right? Thank you very much. So you're telling me that Aaron Rodgers has had a better year than Matt Stafford? Because, hold on now, am I right that Aaron Rodgers at one point was 4-6 this year? Is that right? I believe it was. Oh, thank you very much about that. So is it possible that Matt Stafford has performed consistently better throughout the year, especially when it counted, which is in the clutch? Oh, I think that's a big yes over Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers made another Pro Bowl purely on reputation that is now fading reputation because he made it last year when he had his career worst QBR, his career worst completion percentage, and you still stuck him on the Pro. How did that happen last year? I don't know.
You stuck him.
You stuck him on the Pro Bowl, and now he got back again. How? I don't know how. Most people think he won the Super Bowl like 2 or 3 years ago. Believe it or not, it's been 6 years since Aaron Rodgers has won the Super Bowl, his only Super Bowl, and he did it on the road. He had one of those miracle, magical runs. Okay, way to go, Aaron. That was a long time ago. Since then, you're 3-5 in the postseason, including 2 home playoff losses. He lost 2 playoff games at Lambeau Field. But is he still overhyped and overrated? Yep, everybody says he's still Aaron bleeping Rodgers. He gets more passes than he throws. And he just got another pass straight into another Pro Bowl over a guy who outperformed him from start to finish within his own division. That's outrageous. How can you defend that?
Why are you so upset at Aaron? He didn't vote for himself.
Well, that's true. I'll give you that. But I'm upset about I feel bad for Matt Stafford from Dallas, Texas. Way to go, Matt.
Skip.
Highland Park High School.
Yeah. Can I give you a little insight into how players and coaches vote?
Yeah, they think, oh yeah, he used to be that guy. Oh, it's Aaron Rodgers. They don't even watch the games. They don't know what happens.
Skip. Them coaches spend 100 hours a week. A lot of those coaches are lifers. They have kids, and they wake up one morning and the kid is going to college. And the next thing you know, they're giving their daughter away at a wedding. That's how many hours they spend. That's how many hours they're away from their family every single day, almost year round. They watch tape. Players watch tape. And when they say, okay, Aaron Rodgers, I'm shaking because I know there's not a throw that this guy can't make. I know he's equally adept at throwing the ball, rolling to his left, rolling to his right. And then when the temperature is 10 below zero, he can throw the ball on a rope 60 yards.
Against the Bears, he can do it. The 3 and whatever they are, Bears.
Can you not interrupt
Go
me?
ahead. Go ahead.
Thank you.
You need to be corrected every once in a while, but it's okay.
So I'm telling you how players and coaches think. And a lot of times fans get caught up in just numbers or who's in a big market. But that's not how players look at it. They really don't. Because I voted for 14 years, and I took it very serious. Coaches, they take this.
I think you were an exception among players that I've covered, because I know a lot of them just would look around like, help me out here. Somebody throw me a name. Aaron Rodgers? Okay, I'll put Aaron Rodgers down.
Yeah. And this what's so amazing is that you saying Aaron Rodgers is having an off year. The dude has 32 touchdowns with 7 interceptions.
I did not say he's having an off year. He did last year for sure. But Matt Stafford had a better year.
Even in his off year, only 2 quarterbacks probably that were playing last year wouldn't trade places with Aaron Rodgers. That's Tom Brady and Drew Brees. Everybody else would take Aaron Rodgers, even in his worst year since he's been a starter. Every other starter would take those numbers. Skip, he's special. Guys know he caused them more. Defensive coordinators know. Aaron Rodgers causes them more problems than Matt Stafford. Players that go against Aaron Rodgers and Matt Stafford know he causes them more problems than the other guys that got left off. So and this is what I do. When you say someone was snubbed, that means you have to pull someone off. So you're saying since Matthew Stafford was snubbed, you want to take Aaron Rodgers off and put him on.
Yep.
What about Dak?
Dak's 12-2.
Oh, so now what about
what's
what
so
about
funny
Drew Brees?
about that?
What about Drew Brees?
Is 12-2 funny to you?
And I said that you need to win. Both of these guys are winning. You also have to have numbers. It's still a numbers game, and you play positions: quarterback, wide receiver, running back, D lineman, linebackers, corners, safeties. You can accumulate stats. Only offensive linemen can accumulate stats. Hence, this is why you see LaShawn McCoy going to the Pro Bowl. They're the number 1 rushing team, but none of his offensive linemen are. So it's hard to accumulate stats if you're an offensive lineman. Now, the Cowboys, everybody talks about. I mean, there's not a game that people don't talk about their offensive line. Well, who's the MVP? Well, Dak, or is it Zeke? No, it's really the offensive line. But since we can't give it to them, let's see Dak or Zeke.
Are you saying you'd put Matt Stafford on ahead of Dak?
Matt Stafford is, hold on. No. First of all, Matt Ryan, I mean, I think they got it right. I personally think they got it right. I would have taken Dak for the very reason you said. He's 12-2. He has 19 passing touchdowns, 4 interceptions. I think he has, 3 or 4 rushing. So he has to go. How do you leave a quarterback on the best team in the NFC? They won more games than anybody in the NFC. How do you leave him home? Matt Ryan, you look at his numbers, he was going. He was starting. That just goes to show you, even though Dak Prescott won the fan vote, what do the coaches and players think? Because that's the determining factor. You can win 1/3. You can win the fans. It probably wasn't even close between Dak and Matt Ryan or Dak and Aaron Rodgers. But with them coaches, I guarantee you there's not a coach in the NFL that says, you know what, I would take Dak Prescott over Matt Ryan or Aaron Rodgers.
Okay, I'm going to give you this. There's no way that Matt Stafford is a better quarterback than Aaron Rodgers. But will you give me this? Matt Stafford had a better year than Aaron Rodgers has had to date.
Nope.
How can you show me? Show me how. Eight out of 9 times he brought them from behind in the fourth quarter, and they don't have a good defense. Dallas's defense is better than Detroit's defense.
Yeah, and you talk about Sean Lee. Sean Lee, first of all, it's universally regarded. Luke Kuechly is the best middle linebacker in football. It's also Bobby Wagner is the second best. Okay. It just so happens that Sean Lee plays in the NFC when the 2 best thought of middle linebackers also are in that conference. Skip, you can't sit here. There's not a Dallas Cowboy fan that will tell you Sean Lee is better than Luke Kuechly.
He is. He had a better year. He had a better year. He just did. I'm sorry. That defense struggled all year. I'm sorry. You're not watching closely. This guy stays on the field. Here's a quote.
They don't take Kuechly off.
Here's a quote from Rod Marinelli. There's not a guy, in my opinion, playing defense right now on any team playing at this level that Sean Lee is playing at. He's off the charts. He never comes off the field. He plays the pass. He can blitz. He plays the run inside and he plays the run outside. He can cover man-to-man. And trust me, he can really cover man-to-man.
Can I ask you a question?
Hey, he is the driving force of one of the best defenses in pro football, and you left him off the team. And by the way, to your point, I think they count him as an outside linebacker when he often plays inside. So he was up against Vic Beasley and Ryan Kerrigan and Thomas Davis.
Can I ask you a question?
I'll take him over any of those 3.
Can I ask you a question? Who does Rod Marinelli coach?
Who does he coach?
Yeah, Sean Lee.
Yeah.
So what do you think Sean McDermott would say if you ask him about Luke Kuechly? Would he say those same glowing words about Kuechly?
Who's been around longer? That guy or my guy?
Your guy's been around longer, but he's been hurt, Skip.
No, I mean Rod Marinelli or McDermott.
You do realize Luke Kuechly was the defensive player of the year. You do realize that, right? You know he was, even though the
I love him. I really love Bobby Wagner.
Let me ask you a question.
This guy did more longer.
How many general managers would take Sean Lee over Luke Kuechly? How many players on defense?
Now you're giving me the Aaron Rodgers argument. I'm talking about who had the better year. Sean Lee performed consistently at a higher level than Luke Kuechly. And by the way, Luke unfortunately got hurt and missed the last couple of games.
Now,
missed 3 games.
My biggest snubs, I didn't give you my biggest snubs. I thought Olivier Vernon should have gone over Michael Bennett. Michael Bennett missed 5 games. And when he came back, he's still not even, he hadn't registered a sack. Olivier Vernon should have been on. And also in the AFC, the punters. I thought Marquette King should have been the punter over Pat McAfee. Now maybe some of his antics
I would agree with that.
people the wrong way.
I believe that hurt.
But Skip, there's no denying this young man.
He was sensational.
He was. I mean,
I would agree with that one.
So, but Skip, I'm just trying to give you an insight into how, and some of the fans into insight of how coaches and players actually, because there are sometimes, I mean, guys that you don't really think of. And when we get the scouting report from the coaches, the dude got 3 stars by his name. And I'm like, who is it? He's like, when you turn the tape on, you'll know why we gave him 3 stars. And that's the way it goes. Skip, sometimes you get left home. I've gotten left home when I thought I deserved to go. I really did. And people, and I was on Twitter last night, beefing with a lot of people. I like to do that, Joy.
All day.
But Skip.
You know what? It's going to be the undoing of you before this is over.
No.
Just trust me.
Skip.
Remember I told you that.
Skip.
Remember.
Because here's the thing, Skip. For me, I feel when people reach out to me and ask me what I think, they really want to know. Because it's not very often. And I know a lot of social media say, well, Shannon, if you want to increase your following, stop being so accessible. But for me, I want to give them an insight into how players are thinking. I want to give them an insight in why they called that defense or they ran that play.
But you want to tell people they're wrong, and you're letting them define you and make you who you are, how you think.
Skip.
Doesn't work.
Skip, think about this. I let 48 men and women determine my validation in the NFL to put me into the Hall of Fame. Everybody has to have validation at some point.
You just compared Hall of Fame voters to your Twitter
Skip,
followers.
I'm saying, Skip,
Really?
Skip.
Well, he does have very high regard for his Twitter followers.
See, that's how you look at it. See, for me, I look at those people when I see them and they walk up to me. I acknowledge them. I don't think because I'm in the Hall of Fame, I don't think because I played 14 years that I'm better than somebody that has a normal job.
Well, you guys are on two totally different spectrums with this, because you respond to everybody and you don't read any comments or any Twitter responses at all, ever. So you're on the different spectrum.
By the way, last quick point here on snubs. Remember, one guy gets to play the other guy in the last game of the year. Matt Stafford at home gets to face one Aaron Rodgers, so maybe there'll be a little motivation also for Sean Lee going forward.
Don't worry about it. And then we're going to put some dew on it.
We just might put some
No, ain't no might.
Yeah.
You done talked about Aaron Rodgers like you talk like that man stole your dog or something, and you think you're not going to put any dew on it?
He's got to deal with the Vikings first.
Don't worry about it. Hold up. Is that Fran Tarkenton playing quarterback? Oh, okay.
We'll see.
No mercy. Demarcus Cousins was ejected when he spit out his mouthpiece after scoring the go-ahead bucket with under 40 seconds left last night against Portland. The technical was then rescinded, and Cousins was allowed to stay in the game. He finished with 55 points in the win. Here was Cousins talking about the tech after the game.
It's ridiculous. It's obvious what's being done out here. It's on a nightly basis. I hope the world can see now what's really going on out here, because it's getting ridiculous. It's really ridiculous.
But did it come out of your mouth accidentally? Is that what happened?
Yes, man. This is ridiculous, man. Ridiculous.
Chris Carter is back with us. Skip, let me start with you.
Yes.
Did Demarcus Cousins purposely spit his mouthpiece out at the Blazers bench last night?
Before I address that question, allow me to qualify or disqualify myself. I'm a big fan. I've spoken to him. I pushed for him to be the #1 overall pick over John Wall, and a lot of people said I was crazy, and I stand by that. This is a supremely talented young man who too often fights himself and loses the battle with his own emotions. And that happened again last night in the midst of what was probably his greatest game as a pro basketball player. It was sensational. This man can stroke threes like they're free throws. That's how gifted he is.
At 6'10".
Yeah. And he's smart. He's got a good heart. Mike Krzyzewski 2 days ago on Calipari's podcast just raved about him because Mike's coached him in international competition and just had nothing bad to say about him because there's so much good there. He's had an ongoing beef with Myers Leonard, and you can look it up before the Myers Leonard's draft and then after. I just blasted the Trailblazers for drafting Myers Leonard at 11 overall, a lottery pick. And somehow last January after a game, the media was giving Myers Leonard credit for stopping Demarcus Cousins, held him to 4 out of 20 shots, and it really got under Demarcus's skin, and he says he's no defender. So last night, at the height of this game, he wanted to go to the bench and tell him that he ain't anything. Yeah. Right. And in so doing, it looked to me, I can only see the back angle from the back of his head, so I can't see exactly what was happening facially, because that's the only angle that I've seen so far. Maybe we have a better one, but I don't think so. And it looked like he just got so worked up that he accidentally lost control of the mouthpiece and it went flying into the bench area. It was a bad look. The referees, you can't condemn them for probably overreacting and saying, you are gone. That's your second, you're gone. We're going to eject you. Because just, what was it, a few weeks ago, he ran up into the stands and threw his mouth guard. I think he spat his mouth guard at that point. So he's brought a lot of this on himself. We talked about Odell yesterday. Same syndrome. If you keep on keeping on, the refs are going to occasionally overreact and hold you accountable in ways you don't deserve it. So it's not ridiculous because he's brought so much of it on himself. But again, I hope he's learning a little lesson and a little lesson, because at some point, and it may not be in Sacramento, if he ever winds up with a good team, with a strong locker room like the Ravens were in 2000, you better look out, because this man could emerge as the dominant center in this league.
I'm going to kind of compare him to a player I think both of you might see the similarities. And I would say Charles Haley. Now, Charles has been on the record as saying that he's been placed on medication. He's gotten some assistance in trying to figure life out. He's a lot healthier now mentally than he's ever been. And sometimes with these athletes, we just think supreme ability, but we don't think about any other imperfections. Now, I know Coach Cal at Kentucky very well, all right? So I've gotten a chance to know some of the players. And I know that they're doing everything that they can to try to keep him on the right track. But we're having this conversation about the best center, skilled big man in the NBA. But we're having it for a negative connotation. And a lot of that is his own fault. A lot of his teammates don't like him. Most of the teams in the NBA won't trade for him. So that is a problem. So typically, Charles Haley, he was adored by his teammates. So when you start to isolate yourself, not only from the coaches, but from the players, it's going to be a problem. And it's time for him to grow up so we can talk about his ability. Now, I know he's trying to get some help, all right? I know that the people behind the scenes are trying to help him, and he has gotten better. But the overall truth of it is he's not a good teammate. He's a great basketball player. Right. And as far as him spitting out his mouthpiece, because Shannon and I, we talk a lot of trash, and we had mouthpieces in. If I hadn't have spit my mouthpiece out, I would have went and retrieved it. So if I'm talking trash and some of my mouthpiece comes out, I would have went and got it.
Okay.
All right? But if I'm spitting it out, I'm going to walk away from where I was.
So you think he did spit it?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Skip, if you go on the internet, a fan had the actual copy. He's face on Boogie.
Oh, okay.
And you can see him
I've not seen that.
Skip, you can see him do this. He spit it out.
And another thing, too, that is kind of lost in the context of it, the coaching staff was trying to talk to the center. Oh, you can shut him out. You're the kryptonite for DeMarcus. Right. So DeMarcus could hear this the whole game. So that's why he went to the bench,
right,
to let them know that this 50 I put on you is because of the coaching staff and not because of him. Go ahead.
Now, Terry Stotts said that he was looking straight on and he did not think he spit it.
He did. Yeah. Here's a guy. He is the best big man in basketball. He's averaging 29 and 11. Those are unheard. Those are the old.
Shaq.
Those are old. That's Shaq. That's Kareem. That's Wilt numbers.
Yeah, they are.
He's a 2010 guy since he's been in the NBA, but also since he's been in the league, he has 24 more technical fouls and 2 more ejections than any other player. And we talk about it all the time in our sport. It's called production intolerance. You can't get rid of a guy that's 29 and 11. But at some point in time, he's not going to get you 29 and 11. At what point in time does your tolerance level? Because we talk about it every day. Not one time can we talk about Boogie Cousins and say, man, that dude had an unbelievable game. It's always something. He fouled out. He got a technical foul. He want to fight somebody. He's ranting about the press guy. It's always something. It's never, man, DeMarcus Boogie Cousins had a game last night, CC.
Right.
But, Skip, the dude is an unbelievable talent.
Yeah.
But
they made a conscious effort, and Coach K did. That's why he went on Coach Cal's on show and said about Boogie Cousins, because Coach Cal went out of his way to make sure he got on the Olympic team.
Yeah.
You know, they needed him, and he needed from a PR standpoint. So for me, it's a big setback. You don't give up on him, but you know what you have in Boogie Cousins.
Yeah,
I
that's
would
your
like
point.
to see him in San Antonio one day.
I bet
Yes.
you would.
I was hoping last year they were
It would
talking
be
about
a good
trading him to Cleveland.
It would be a good environment.
Because LeBron, but
Sports are just as much mental as they are
Hey,
physical.
Boogie was in Cleveland. If Boogie was in Cleveland, we won 6 in a row.
You might have
We-
a shot against the Spurs. If you had
We'll blow the doors off.
Where's your ring?
Yeah,
Chris
you
brought his
have-
ring. Where's your honorary ring? No mercy. Joining us now, actor and comedian Cedric the Entertainer. Cedric, welcome to the show.
What's up, man? Good morning. All right, how y'all doing?
Thanks for
Good,
being here.
Good.
So tell us a little bit about the movie.
The White Hymn is a big holiday comedy. It's about Bryan Cranston plays a character whose daughter is about to marry this kind of young internet guru played by James Franco. You know, totally new to the family, free-spirited. I play Bryan Cranston's best friend and business partner. And it is one of those kind of holiday movies where you meet the new person that's coming into the family, and they're totally different. This guy's tattoos and a little free-spirited and super rich. And so Bryan wants to know why him, why this guy. You know?
Interesting. So
Yeah.
I got to ask about your NFL allegiance, because this man across the table from me grew up in South Georgia, a Pittsburgh Steeler fan. Never have figured that out. You grew up in and around St. Louis,
Yeah.
and you're a Pittsburgh Steeler diehard. How did that start?
You know, it was I lived in a small town called Caruthersville, Missouri. Shout out to the Ville. And it was a Steeler town for whatever reason. I don't know, but everybody was Pittsburgh Steelers. So since I was little, I can just remember having like Pittsburgh Steeler, lunchbox and little Scully hats.
Really?
And it was always like the thing that you had. And so the colors, and then of course that was the time of Franco Harris and Mean Joe Green and all those great teams. And so I've just been a Steelers fan ever since.
And they kicked my Cowboys behind twice in Super
Yes.
Bowls in 10 and 13, and you're probably just old enough to remember those,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Yeah, yes. So that's gonna be good. It might be the same this year. It might be the Super Bowl, maybe.
Really?
Old school.
Pittsburgh
Well,
Dallas.
Steelers were one of the few teams that came on that you could actually see out there. I remember watching
Yeah,
the
that's
Raiders.
true, too.
And then you said you probably was like me. Your TV had 3 channels: on, off, and don't mess with me.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
so it wasn't like you could.
Yeah, because if you mess with it, you got to stand there because that's the only time. It's like, yeah, you had to hold the antenna. You got to hold the antenna, just hold it. Like, yeah, that's the only time we can watch cartoons.
Said in the original Kings of Comedy, it was you, DL, Steve Harvey, and the late Bernie Mac.
Yeah.
And now you're on a new tour, the Get Down
Yeah.
comedy. George Lopez, DL, and yourself, Charlie Murphy, and Eddie Griffin. Yeah. Any similarities between, what were you trying to do in this one as opposed to the last one?
This was, of course, that first tour was just magical. To be, I feel very blessed to be done 2 big major arena tours with comedy.
Right.
But the first one we were more like the Beatles. Now we're kind of like this super group that you put together that everybody wants to be the Beatles. Right. Wish we were like One Direction. No, but no, I would be Harry. Everybody but it is. It is fun, man, to be out again, to be out with guys that you respect, and you're out on the tour, and it's a magical energy, man, to watch these guys work. So, we're really blessed. We've been doing it 2 years. It started out as a philanthropic effort. We wanted to put up a statue for Richard Pryor in his hometown, and that's how this tour came about. George Lopez's idea.
So how do you determine who's going to be a part of the tour? How did you, okay, I want this guy, or how does this happen?
Well, George, again, it was George's idea. So he actually called everybody to see who was available. And it was one of those things because we did the first one for free. So it's one of those things like, if you're going to do it for free, you in. So you did it. And then, it just turned into this tour and a TV show. We actually have a TV show about it, like a loosely scripted show, kind of like Curb Your Enthusiasm, like we'll do on BET. So a lot of fun. And this has been, this kind of like this thing that just morphed into something big, all because we were willing to give back, So that's what I like about this tour.
That's great.
Greatest stand-up comedian ever is?
Richard Pryor, man.
No doubt.
I mean, Richard Pryor. There's a lot of people that you can put in there. And I love stand-up, so I love Carlin.
Give us your Mount Rushmore.
Oh man, Mount Rushmore comedians. Richard Pryor would be up there. For me, the late Robin Harris would be up there. Okay. George Carlin would be there. Seinfeld would be there. I like Seinfeld. That's my guy.
What about Eddie?
And Eddie Murphy, man. I was gonna say.
You only get 4 though. You get 4. You got somebody got to go see it. Somebody got to come off.
Somebody got to come off.
Somebody's got to come off
of that. And who did I have?
You got Richard.
I got Richard. I got Robin. Ooh, I got Robin Harris. I got Seinfeld. Eddie. That's man.
No Red Fox.
Man, no Red Fox. I'm a little older than my generation, so I ain't quite get. Hey, I love him, but I ain't get. But Eddie Murphy, my go-to, like one of my go-to comedians for all things.
Is
man.
Chris Rock getting in the conversation?
Well, he should be at all times. He's one of the best to do it, and he's a good friend of mine.
Top 5
so
was great.
But he a contemporary, so he wouldn't be on my Mount Rushmore. I mean, like Chris. That's how I'd have to look at him. Like, come on now.
So do you enjoy stand-up more, or now you've become a force in movie making, which is more fun?
I actually like to do it all. I mean, that's when you get a weird name like the entertainer. You got to carry that motif all around. But I like to do television, film. But stand-up is still one of those places where it's the freest. You walk up, you don't have any producers, you don't have anybody telling you what you can and can't say. So that's what's so unique about that. It is a young man's sport. I always say that, though. It is. You can like athletes or whatever. We don't get to have a post-career. I want to do Undisputed, the comedy version. After like I retired, I just sit up with another comedian. We just like, that's a horrible joke. Look at that joke. That's terrible.
That would be good. I would watch that.
We just sit around and analyze the game. That'd be dope.
I always found it interesting. How do you prepare for a show?
Well, I think that, the key is that you do have to kind of like find out what's going on. It's not that you have to be, completely up to date, but I usually kind of scan, the news, not the paper anymore. It's all on the phone.
Right.
So, you scan the news, you kind of see what's going on, social media stuff, and then you go into the big subject matters. You also, you kind of think about your set. That's what after, it's one of these things where you look and visualize yourself and how you kind of see your show going, so that as you go up there, you have an order of a flow.
Right.
And then you can jump off that, but at least if you kind of thought about it ahead of time, you can see yourself beginning and you can see yourself ending. And that's the key thing, I think, when you go on that stage. You don't want to just walk out there and not have any idea how you plan on jumping into this crowd,
Does where you are determine the types of joke that you're going to tell?
Oh, for sure. I mean, you have to be aware of all things. I think, if you're in the South and you got.
I was at the one in Phillips Arena in Atlanta.
Oh yeah, so, yeah, right. And recently, right?
Yes.
Which was unique, because they had a big rapper who had just passed, and I came out to his song, and it instantly endeared me to the crowd. Like it was one of these things that nobody else had thought about, right? So Shorty Low had just passed, and it was like, yo, when I came out to his song, the crowd was like, oh, you so right on point. So it's those little things, like paying attention to the detail, and from there, I just had them. So anything I wanted to do, they were already just like, man, this is the dude right here.
So today, do you feel more and more pressure to use more profanity to be funny?
I try not to, but I mean, it is become more customary. Even when you look at television, it's, even on TV, the idea of what, language you can get away with, what people are willing to allow someone to say. But my mother was a school teacher, and so that was never really a thing that was a part of my brand. People thought for a long time I didn't curse at all, which wasn't true, but I do think that it is important to now actually try to show the other side. Like it's so easy for everyone to count on language, to walk out and just kind of say something and let that be the punchline. And so I actually try to go the other way, so where it's not so much a part of what my jokes are all about. And so, that's just a choice.
But can you be, big time, truly, truly funny, huge following without using the profanity?
Oh, without a doubt. I think, you got to think in every, aspect of, especially the world now, is that it's people who are, growing. And, of course, when you start out and you kind of want to talk to your contemporaries, you feel like you're talking just that language. Right. But then, we mature, you get older, you become a parent, you realize you don't really want that for your kids. And so next thing you know, you realize there's a big audience for that. And so, it's people who have great brands where they don't curse like that at all, and you'd be surprised that they do really good on stage and they're funny. And Sinbad been doing it for years, and one of the best. We did a show last year and he's still like magical on stage. You're like, Sinbad, good, man. Like, you had to go you might not have seen him in a minute, but if you on that stage, you like, this dude is somebody to follow right now. That's hard.
You ever steal anybody's jokes?
As a comedian, pretty sure.
You switch it around, switch up some of
that. You don't know that you're doing it, but I think that, especially starting out and, in your career, you hear something, you kind of like it, you got a version of it, but theirs was better.
Yeah.
So then you kind of take your version and tweak it. But again, I think that, comedians will tell you that it's kind of a flattery thing, long as you're not like really verbatim, stealing somebody's material. But you definitely seen so many comedians in the day of like when Eddie Murphy came, how so many comedians started to rock that style. Right. Yep. Next thing you know, you really kind of have the same cadence. Right. Chris Rock is another comedian that a lot of people will just kind of find themselves delivering like. Right. And so, it's kind of part of this business, because when you're up there, is really you a microphone, and if you're starting to die, then I've seen people do some desperate things.
Shannon just asked you that so he could feel better about himself because he's always stealing my
He's
jokes.
got your stuff. He's
That is
got all
true.
your good
Yeah.
stuff.
All the time.
You think I have what it takes to be a comedian?
You're pretty good, Shannon. You quick,
know-
you quick. You got a strong personality. You got all these kind of things.
And you know what?
You do have a lot of
And
Shannonisms.
his predictions are hilarious on
That
the
is
show.
true.
That's what you
that is
find
true.
the most entertaining.
You got low blow shot.
Yeah,
low
that was
blow.
like,
No mercy. This is the Skip and Shannon Undisputed podcast, where we're delivering you an unscripted, unfiltered, undisputed version of the biggest topics of the day's show. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast on iTunes, like us on Facebook at Undisputed on FS1, follow on Twitter at Undisputed, and catch us at 9:30 a.m. Eastern, 6:30 Pacific, Monday through Friday on FS1. You can find us on channel 219 on DirecTV, 150 on Dish. That's all for today. I'm your host, Joy Taylor. We're here all week. Come back tomorrow for more Undisputed. We'll see you then.
Fox Sports, one of one.